I absolutely hate being Indian. I wish I was born in another race. Part 2. I'm Indian and I hate the way people perceive me. I hate the comments that people make behind my back. I live in an area that is primarily East Asian and Southeast Asian. I was born and raised here in America, so for most of my life, I would be the only Indian person around, whether this be in my school or at work. I would always get treated a little differently and people would make remarks about me, like calling me names and such even when I didn't do anything to them. I think I started to become super aware of how my race was going to impact me, at a very young age, probably around 10. Just anecdotally, based on what I have seen and experienced, saying these kinds of things is really acceptable in society. No one will really say anything or see it as wrong when people make fun of Indian people. I don't think the same can always be said to the same extent about other groups, not to say that casual racism against other groups isn't normalized, I just don't think it is to the same extent. For example, if someone were to go out into the streets and start spewing bunch of racist things against any other group of people as a joke, they could put themselves in a lot of danger really quickly. But if someone were to go out in public and do the same thing but against Indian people, I don't think they would experience very much pushback if at all. Most people would find it funny if anything. This puts me in a position where I'm very powerless because saying something won't cause any kind of change. If there's 20 people around and I'm the only Indian person, it's basically 19 against 1 since the people who don't spew this racist stuff still see it as acceptable or just a joke. We can even see this online. You can find a ton of videos of people doing and saying blatantly racist things, but I don't really see anyone getting cancelled for being racist against Indian people like there are people getting cancelled for being racist against other groups. There are even a lot of memes that go viral that are blatantly racist like the Bobs and Vegana meme. You can see the casual racism without any pushback also come out in those videos where people ask, what race wouldn't you date and why? But I don't see these kinds of things that are racist against other groups going viral nearly as much. One thing that I think is especially bad are the stereotypes. I don't want to go too much into what they are specifically, but I have noticed that over time they have gotten worse. About a decade or so ago, there used to be a mix of good and bad stereotypes. Even the good stereotypes are still harmful, but I would much rather have a bunch of good stereotypes than bad ones. I've noticed that recently, there aren't really many good stereotypes left, and we're getting new stereotypes that are bad. For example, now we're getting the stereotype of being scammers and being creepy. I think a lot of these stereotypes are being perpetuated through the media. When you look at movies, I can usually find good representations of a lot of different minorities such as Shang-Chi or Black Panther. But when I try to think of a good representation of Indian people in the media I can't think of anything. It's almost all bad. I can only think of people like Raj from The Big Bang Theory, Apu from The Simpsons, or the guy from Jesse. These people are intentionally portrayed as having exaggerated accents. English is my native language and the only language I speak. So naturally I don't have an accent. I was born and raised here in America, but people will still use the accent when talking to me to make fun of me even though I literally don't have an accent. Characters like Raj are portrayed as being creepy and emasculated. This then manifests in our beauty standards, which is why dating can be much harder for Indian men in America. I was born with this race. I hate my skin, I hate my eyes, and I hate my nose. Everyone is born with physical flaws, but for most things you can usually do something to hide it, like with makeup or something. But there's literally nothing I can do to hide my race since it's written on my face. Even with a mask it's still pretty identifiable. Even on the off chance that someone can't tell, it usually leads to questions like, where are you from and so on. I can answer questions like these with the most accurate way possible like I'm from America, but that's never a satisfactory answer for anyone since they just keep going with questions like, what about your nationality and what's your ethnicity until I give them an answer that they are satisfied with. I'm thinking that from now on I should just stop telling people that I'm Indian and tell people that I'm from some other South Asian country that isn't as stigmatized like Bhutan or something.